This is LightBurn 101. So we're going to talk about laying out a print target window and how to start a project or set one up. We first have to talk about the material we're using. This is anodized aluminum, so it's got paint on the surface that is etched away. And the etched away material is showing our bare aluminum, which ends up providing great contrast. This is flat black. Probably some of the best stuff I've worked with, just as far as color contrast wise. This is gloss black, and the difference there with a flat back with a flat black behind it. This project right here, it's a placard that I cut, and I want to engrave in this area right here yet, and I want to give some credits to Adam Jackson, who is a student who worked on this project, for the mill art sign, and also recognize the material where it came from, the paper mill, that it was reclaimed there. So I'm going to start with this and grab a ruler and measure out my print target window. So in this case, I have a window that I have to work within. This little piece of real estate here. So I'm going to measure that up. Maximum, I've got about 5 7/8 inches by 1 3/8 inches. So I want to leave a little bit of a bleed or a relief there. I have to bring that in. So let's just say 5.5 by 1 1/4 is the size that I'm going to work with for my print target window for the top. I'll translate that over to LightBurn and set up that print target window. So this is the LightBurn software, and it's available on Mac or PC. Where you are going to find it is in self-service. It's not going to show up there for me. When you install this, you're only going to have a 30-day license. So keep in mind that the clock is ticking once you start day one. You're also going to want to plug your computer into the laser engraver when it's on, so that you can set up the laser engraver that we have. LuaCAD is going to connect for the first time to this device so that his interface goes from the default to recognizing ours. In this case, you can click cancel on that, but right down on where it says devices in the bottom right hand corner in your laser window, see that? Click that. Okay, and it's like, hey, you want me to search? Sure, find my laser. And click next, because you connected via USB. And there it is, add device. And do rear right, next, and finish. Okay. And now it just updated everything. You'll have to invert these because you had brought them in with a different, but you can just flip them. Yeah, there you go. And now we orient to a 40-inch wide by 24-inch tall work window. And best part, hit the preview. It'll show us when we preview what that's going to look like, and then click OK. Select that other one to start to, yeah. Let's put them next to each other. A little bonus lesson here. You might have to select them all. Click on this little dotted square. Yeah, that gets everything in the window here. Zoom out a little bit. And then preview. Why does it keep previewing the K. Lewis thing?
Oh, because it's in the box.
Or you don't have it output. See that output's not checked? Now preview. Boom. So the difference there, we went in with preview and we got rid of the background because it looked not good. Everything dark is going to laser engrave. So the word Sartell, the stitching, and the outside of the ball, which is good. That should look pretty cool. And then your name would just be K. Lewis. But if you did this, it would make that whole black box around it, plus the letters would blend in. It would look terrible. So preview is super important. We can't see preview until we set up our devices in the laser window. And it recognizes it and then gives you that official print window to work within. So that is part of the process. It's just a one-time, and it'll actually prompt or ask you if you want to plug in, so that I've got a 40-inch on my x-axis by 24-inch y-axis work window now. Probably the biggest thing is this is the largest piece that I could print within the laser engraver that we have, the 2440. So the next thing I'm going to do is create a box in here that is the same size as my print target window. I'll use the rectangle tool, drag that box out, and if I notice in the bottom left hand corner, sorry I can't highlight that, but it gives me an X start point and a Y start point. I started from 4.0 2, and I'm going to go over, if it's 5 1/4, to 9.5 or so, and then I'm going to go down. If I started Y on the 3.3, I want to go down to 4.5. That is my print target window that I have to work within. Now, I don't actually want to cut this layer, so I can uncheck the output on this. And it's just a guideline now. Now I can bring my text in and type in whatever I want. If I leave this as an output check right up here, it's going to fill that in, which means it's going to etch the entire black away. It's going to look like a black box. If I change this to line, it's going to etch an outline of the black box. So if I wanted to border that, it would just cut that line at a certain thickness. And I did that by previewing. You saw that up here. I want it to do neither, so I'm just going to uncheck the output. It's still going to give me that gray box, which is great. And now I'm going to put some text in. And I need to figure out exactly what I want to say here, but something along the lines of, I should probably choose my font first. Font, your options. If it goes into the school anywhere, it has to be one of 3 fonts that are school approved. The font for athletics is Hebo Black. This is Hebo, the material here. And if I want to change that height down, it is in inches, not in font size. So you have to correlate this to, well, how big can it be in order for me to still read it, and what is that number? This would be just over an 1/8 inch high right now. This would be just under an 1/8 inch high. So an 1/8 inch on a ruler, not that high, but it'll still be most likely legible. I would set that here. The other fonts that I need, and actually I should just jump out here to where did this come from? Okay, so we have to add these font styles in to your computer before you can find the official district fonts like Khmer MN, which is selected right now. How do you do that? So I have them in 2 different locations. Number 1, I have put them into the Boss Laser Engraver folder. So the 3 font styles are .ttcs, that's the file extension. You would download these to your computer. Then you're going to open up the fonts folder. And the easiest way to find the fonts folder on your computer, so your computer has a built-in fonts folder that is to search Spotlight for font book. You'll see all of these here, and then you can drag and drop the font file into that folder. So if I grab Khmer MN, drag it and drop it in here, it's going to add into my fonts folder. Once I do that, when I restart LightBurn, it will show up as an option. Pretty cool. It's that simple. Anytime you find fonts, now Khmer MN is an option for me. I've added it in there, okay? The other place I have them is in Google Drive, which I will share with you, and that is just this shared drive has a number of resources for the class or projects that we're working on. So I've got those fonts in there, Wrestling Record Boards project, all kinds of other stuff. Okay, it's really a home base for us that we can have a shared drive to use in the class. So now that I figured out what I want to say with text, I could add graphics in. We're really not going to even incorporate that into this video. I can import graphics, a number of different types. Oh, let me get over to LightBurn here. There we go. I can import a number of different types of supported files. You can see all of the supported file types here. So all kinds of stuff will come in. What it looks like, well, you have to preview that in order to see what it would look like graphically, or maybe alter or modify the image. I just want text, and I've got that set up. A few things I need to highlight for you. Number 1, I told you about this first layer here being my box outline. I unchecked output so it will not burn, fill in, or cut a line around that. I don't want that to happen. In order to get a separate layer, what I did was for my text layer, if I go back to my text layer and select that, actually pointer tool, my text layer selected, I changed the color of it to blue. Now color doesn't matter on a laser other than it just sees it as another layer. So I chose that down here. I could change it to red, doesn't really matter as long as I change the output. Red, it typically defaults to no output, so really I should have done this. I should have grabbed my shape, made that layer red because it would default to it. And then if I go back to my text, and make that layer black, that's going to, I can change the output there. My settings right now are actually really close to correct. That's something else I'd want to change. So my speed at 400 millimeters per second and power at 15 is about right on for anodized aluminum. Where do you want to check laser speeds? You can use a reference from the Boss Laser website, which you would find inside the Boss Laser Engraver folder. There's a link there to the settings for the Boss Laser. Oh, sorry, it's in the Indie Intro project. So we could go to Boss Laser's website. It would tell us, or through trial and error, we've figured out like what cardboard settings should be, or what the anodized aluminum settings should be. And everything else you really do have to kind of guess and check. Try multiple settings. We have a 150 watt laser. So for acrylic engraving, you can see this. For anodized aluminum engraving, that's what we'd be doing. We would set what they say is 325 millimeters per second at 15% power. We actually bumped speed up and got better results. So we tweaked it slightly. But this is where you'd go to find out. Am I engraving wood, cardboard, granite, leather, rubber, all kinds of options. Okay, back to LightBurn. I'm ready at this point to plug in and start doing my layout, my final layout, get the machine ready to engrave my text so it looks like this. So I've opened the hood here to the laser engraver and placed my material inside. I can square this up relative to the ribs that are here. The ribs allow the laser light to pass through for the most part and not do any damage. Right now though, I don't have any relative positioning. I just set it in here and kind of located it. In order to turn the machine on, I want to walk over here, hit this red power button. That's going to turn on the laser engraver itself. It's going to turn on the water chiller. In addition to the water chiller, we need to turn on the air supply here at the wall. And you're noticing that gauge is going to pop up and it's going to feed some pressurized air to the laser. And this is not intuitive, but I do need to turn on the vents for this machine if they are not already on. And they are over here. Yeah. So I'm gonna push this button, EF47, hold that in for a few seconds. And I should be able to hear and or feel that ventilation come on through the elephant trunk here. That is starting to draw air now. And I can hear it. All right, we're good. I want to make sure that this gate is open on the top, but it's always been left open. Yep. Okay, we're drawing air. Good. Next steps. Let's take my laptop here. If it's my first time plugging in, I should have already done this so that my interface is set up. Sometimes my computer has a hard time picking up the laser itself when I plug it in. So we'll see how this goes. This is actually a video. I need to minimize that. There we go. And my laser window is not up right now, so if I go under Windows and choose laser, I see it here. Next thing I want you to do before you make any movements is I want to make sure the laser head is high enough that you can traverse in the X and Y axis. Let me do this. Left, down arrow, left. I want to make sure that I don't run into anything. That would be bad. Okay, I'm plenty high right now. So how do I adjust my Z height and focus the laser? Let's do that next. So I'm going to hit the ZU button, and in the menu interface I've got Z move. Now if I go left or right with my arrows, that's actually going to bring my table up or bring it down. Let's show that again. Bring my table down is left, up is right. And I don't want to run that in there, but I can get it closer. The machine has an autofocus. It's kind of a cool feature. Let me just put this, it should be fine right there contacting the material. I see that red light, which is really just an indicator for location. It's not the laser itself. I mean, it is a laser, but it's not the class 4 laser. That's invisible. That's just for lining up projects. So to focus this, I can move it in the Z direction. I was just doing that. I'm going to scroll down. Come on, focus. There we go. To autofocus. As long as the laser is over the top of my material, which it is, I'm going to hit enter. That'll bring the table up until it contacts and it automatically sets the focal length to be correct for laser engraving. So my Z height is now correct, and of course I have to only laser engrave on flat surfaces. I can then move around again if I want to, and one of the next cool things is locating our project with relative to our materials. So let's see how this goes. Okay, so I've got some commands in here. I've got a square frame command, and I've got a circular frame command. The absolute coordinates must be set, absolutely. That means it's relative to what I have for coordinates out here. Okay, I would never, this should default to it, but we don't want to use user origin or current position. We're gonna leave it to absolute coordinates. When I hit this frame button here, what you're gonna notice is the machine is framing where the artwork is relative to what I set up in the software. So I have one of two options. I can either move my artwork up to that there, or I can shift my artwork on the screen to get it closer to where my material actually is. It's really, I think, easier to shift it on the screen. So I know that my artwork is up and to the right now. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit and grab my pointer, and I can click on this. I'm not sure if I have to group my layers, but yes I do. So I want to select them all, drag a box around them, and now I'm going to use the arrow keys, and I'm going to arrow this down. Come on, phone, focus. There we go. I'm going to arrow this down a ways and to the left a little bit. And now I'm going to hit my frame button again, and I'm going to see how close I'm getting. Ooh, I'm getting close. It's just my phone that will focus. Let me hit it one more time. Frame. So I'm slightly off to the right now, but height-wise I'm actually pretty close. So I'm going to come back over here. Still have it highlighted. I'm going to move my artwork over to the right. Let me zoom out a little bit. There we go. Over to the right a little bit. Now I need to move my artwork over to the left because the target was over to the right. So let's try that. Ooh, we're getting really close. And this is just a little bit of guess and check back and forth now. Two clicks to the left, frame it again, very close. I can see that I'm about an inch off to the left yet, so I'll make a few more adjustments here. Left, 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 frame it. Oh, that's very close. Very close. Frame it one more time. Like it. So I can continue to verify this until I feel like, yep, this is good. Once I have it framed properly, once I have my Z height set for the laser, I'm ready to engrave. Flux capacitor's fluxing, fan is running. That's it. Should be ready to go. I want to check my laser settings one more time. I noticed that my black output is 415 for the speed and power. My red is not going to output, so I'm not going to get that red box around it. I should be good to go. I'll let you know how it turns out on the other side. Okay, I didn't run it yet. I actually bumped up my font size a little bit because it looks like I had a little extra real estate. And I needed to tell you, you got to close the lid in order for this thing to run. It has a magnetic sensor right here that won't, it'll run the head, but it won't actually cut. So we want to close the lid. And now we are going to hit start, just like a printer would. And we can come over here and watch it etch. Now, the mistake that I made, full disclosure, is that I use an outline for this rather than a fill. And I can see that right there. I had this set to line instead of fill. My bad. I'm gonna let it run because I believe that I can run a fill afterwards and it'll still turn out fine. We're gonna see. It's gonna take, I don't know, just a couple minutes here to finish up. So let's see how this line turns out. It's definitely readable. See if I can zoom in and get this to focus. And not a big deal, but I think I'll still try and run the fill setting afterwards. So that first pass was the line setting. This is the fill setting. And you can see quite a bit more contrast. Easy to read. Hopefully no spelling errors. Yee. Always makes me worry. This one will be done shortly. And then we'll just talk about, well, that's pretty much it. Wipe it down so it's clean. Finish it out. Finished product. Turned out great. You clean it up a little bit when you're done. There's a little residue usually left over. And then adhesion for this anodized aluminum really works great with the 3M double-sided foam adhesive tape. I am a big fan of their product. Minnesota company, 3M mining, materials, and something else. This stuff works great to stick on permanently just about anywhere. And it is permanent, so if you're gonna put it on there, it's not coming down without a fight.